Welcome to North of the Broad. I'm your host, Robin Zimmerman. As you know, we bring you our show from the Pat Conroy Literary Center, which is located in downtown Beaufort. We've got a great program lined up for you, so stay tuned. Welcome to North of the Broad. I'm your host, Robin Zimmerman, and I'm so excited to introduce you to our very first guest. Her name is Donna KeelArmer, and she has written a book. It's a memoir. It's a kind of a travel adventure, and it's called Solo in Salento. Am I saying that
Absolutely
correctly?
correct. Salento.
Donna, welcome.
Thank you, Robin, so much for having me.
Thanks for being with us. So, I'm going to kind of flip on my questions, and we're on the Pat Conroy Literary Center.
Yes.
So this is your first book. You said that you were writing, you continued writing, but did Pat Conroy have any influence on you?
He did. I met Pat the first time in 1995. I stood in line to get beach music signed. I was in Cincinnati, Ohio at the time, and I was number 112. And I still have my little slip of paper in beach music.
Oh, wow.
So years later, when I moved to Beaufort, I met Pat.
Okay.
And I went right up to him, introduced myself, told him about meeting him. And of course, you know, Pat, it was like, of course I remember you, which of course he didn't, but he was so grand that way, just bringing you right in, making you feel at home.
It's always about the others, not about him.
Yes. And I attended all the bits of his 70th birthday festival that we had for him, and he died so soon after that.
Right.
And the minute I heard that there would be a literary center to honor him, I wanted to be involved. And coming out with my very first book in July, I couldn't have done it without the support of people like Jonathan Hupp, who's the executive director here, or Cassandra Kane Conroy, or Marley Ruskoff, who was Pat's agent, all the docents here, some of whom are writers. Just so much support for the community, for the people that come in, our guests. It's just a wonderful experience.
Well, let's dive right in. I have not read it, but I'm going to get it, and I'm going to read it because it sounds fascinating. You left and went over to Italy, and you lived there for a month, and you left some troubling relationships, some troubling times, some challenges you were having, and so during that time when you were in Italy, you were writing about really a fictional character, or was it about you, Donna? So talk about the book.
Well, I told everybody I was going to write a historical fiction, and I actually surfed the net to come up with a couple of legitimate things I could write about it. And one of them was Pantaleone's mosaic floor that was designed by him in 1163. And I have a lot about that in the book because while I was there, I also took a class in mosaics that was very complex. But the other subject I had a potential to write about was the massacre of 1480. Very brutal massacre that took place. So all along, while I'm there, living my life and having all these adventures, I'm writing these two trains of thought as to which one would be the better novel when I came back home. But it didn't work out that way.
And so then how did it develop into this book?
Well, when I came home, I guess I've got that kind of personality that if I committed to doing something and telling people that I committed to doing it, then I'm going to try and follow through. But I hit a lot of roadblocks, and they weren't roadblocks that I couldn't plow through, but they were roadblocks that were telling me, take another direction. So I was chatting with a very dear friend of mine, and she said to me, we're all waiting for you to write about your trip. We all want to know every single detail of what happened to you while you were there. When I started that, the
it just
words,
flowed.
Yeah, they just flew off the page.
And so when you say writing about your trip, so it was kind of a revelation of you and your past and coming to terms with some things, because you said when you came back, you really were a changed person, but it was also about the country and about where you were living. And
yes, yeah. so much happened. And I think when you're alone, really alone, and you don't have to listen to anyone else's voice but your own, I really listened. I really heard myself speak. I really believed in my own voice, my own courage, and my own strength. And I was able to sort through. The mosaics class were very instrumental because in order to create this mosaic, I had to break fragments of marble into these little tiny pieces in order to put them back into this whole piece that was stronger than all the little bits. And then there was a very complex recycling system. And without the instructions in anything but Italian, it was very complicated for me to figure out how I could do this, and I failed miserably over and over again. But I learned the importance of my own personal trash and how to sort it, how to discard what needed to be discarded, and how to renew what could be renewed, and how to move on.
Wow. You know, being alone like that is a lot of people don't want to be alone, but to take that step to really be alone and listen to your own voice and learn from that voice, I guess, really can make a difference in your life. And so I'm so anxious we only have 30 seconds left, Donna. So where can we get the book, and anything, final thoughts about
the book? I have a website, www.DonnaKeelArmer.com. You can contact me through my email address, which is DonnaKeelArmer@gmail.com. Barnes & Noble, Amazon has every copy. You can buy copies at the Pat Conroy Center, downtown shops, Deals on Bay, and Oyster Cay Collection. Both are selling it. So
fantastic.
It's available.
So we've just touched the edge of the iceberg. Donna, thank you so much for being with us. I'm very anxious to read it, and thanks for being with us. And good luck. You said it's already doing quite well.
Yes, it is.
Just came out in July.
Yes, thank you so much.
In Salento.
Yes.
Am I saying that? Salento.
You are. Salento.
Salento. Thanks for being with us. And we'll be right back with North of the Broad. Don't go away.